Welcome to Earth is Waking Up. I'm your host, Jeremy Anderson, and today we have a special guest, Rebecca Blust. Rebecca is the founder of Positive Thinking Revolution and Freedom for Life. She's a love warrior and self-proclaimed positive change agent. Her passion is helping people be and feel successful. Through her annual longevity summits and her online summit, she brings people the knowledge they need to transform their thinking so they can transform their lives. When she isn't changing lives, she can be found in nature in Southern Oregon, spending time with her family. And probably Puerto Rico as well. Is that?
Probably, yeah.
Welcome, Rebecca. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me, Jeremy.
Yeah. Um, I'm I'm honored to have you on. I love your summit, the Positive Thinking Revolution, and I've listened in on some of the interviews and just love the topics and the speakers that you had, and the work that you've done. It sounds like you've done a lot of learning around positive, just being positive, thinking more positive, being, and I would imagine probably affecting those around you to be more positive. So I love a lot
Yeah,
of the stuff you've done. Go ahead.
yeah, absolutely. What I have discovered is there is actually a positive psychology. So I know there are people out there who believe that maybe it's like kind of a woohoo manifestation type thing, but it's an actual psychology, and there are actual strategies and skills that every single person can implement to create what I call like a baseline positivity, right? And positivity is different than happiness. And so I want to make that distinction. Okay. So happiness comes from chemicals that your body releases, endorphins, dopamine, the happy chemicals. And that happens when an event happens, like you got that new car, or you got that new job, or you're with that great new person, right? And then your body releases the chemicals, your happiness goes up, and then it comes back down, right? But positivity is your base state. It's where you're living at, which is different than your happiness. Does that make sense?
Yeah. So not just woo-woo stuff, it's actual
Right.
unicorns and rainbows, just being positive.
Right. Right. And there's things that you can do. They've shown that you can increase your positivity up to 50% by doing certain practices consistently. Just like if you want to be healthy, you have to eat a certain way consistently, or you have to exercise consistently. Positivity is the same thing. It's like exercising your mental state consistently. Mm-hmm.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah.
So what you want to give us some examples of what we can do?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
So one of the things that people use is mindfulness, and there's a lot of techniques for mindfulness. But mindfulness means basically that you're living in the present. You're able to stay in the present, and the longer that you train your brain, the more you can stay in the present. Meaning, you're not thinking about the past
Oh,
and reliving that, right? Or
it's
you're
so
not
fun to
worrying
drag
about the
ourselves to the
future,
past.
right? And worrying about that. You're like in the moment. And most times in the moment, nothing bad is going on in the moment, right? Most of the time. And so there are different like techniques that you can do that can help you. And one of them is meditation, which is becoming more and more, mainstream. And there's a lot of different apps that you can get to help you with your meditation. Breathing, deep breathing, and like just taking a couple of, I don't know, 3 to 5 times per day where you just stop and you breathe in all the way and you let it out. I mean, even doing that, doesn't that feel good?
Oh, totally. Yeah, I do it a
Right.
lot, actually.
You're right. And then, and then gratitude. And so what they have found that having a gratitude practice, so that means like every morning or every night, like writing what you're grateful for. And I know like for example, for myself, when I started that practice, I was like, and this is ridiculous, but I was like, what am I grateful for? Oh my gosh, I just can't think of anything. Right. But
Yeah.
I have a house, and I have running water, and I have hot water, and I have clothes, and I have food. So now it just flows. Like there's so much, and I do it at night. So much stuff that I write that I'm grateful for. And what happens is then your brain starts looking for it. You start like
Uh-huh.
looking for things that you can be grateful for.
Yeah. And it shifts what you're attracting in life, right?
It shifts hugely. I have personal experience. The more that you're grateful for something, the more that something shows up in your life.
Can
It's
you have
it's
any examples?
Well, one of them is children.
Okay.
I've got two teenagers, 19, adult 19 and a 15-year-old. And even though they're not always how as a mom I'd like them to be, I still write as if they are. I am so grateful that they're healthy because they are. I'm so grateful that they're kind. I'm so grateful that they're smart. I'm so grateful that, things like that. And it shows up. I mean, then I
Got
start
all their
seeing it.
limbs.
Wow, she was kind. She,
Yeah.
she is smart. She is, making healthy choices. So I see it more than the other, which is, oh my gosh, you didn't clean your room again, or what happened to your whatever it was, your shoes that you lost. You start looking for the positive in them because you're
Yeah.
writing it.
And if there is something to correct, then you wrap it in positive, right?
Well, here's the thing, guys. We have what's called a negativity bias, and it came from when we lived out, in tribes out on the savannah. And if you didn't quickly see negativity in your environment, you died, right? It was a bad experience. We have not evolved out past that, so um, you naturally actually look for negativity because your brain wants to survive, right?
The reptilian
And so,
brain.
yeah, it really is. Gratitude is a way to get past that and retrain your brain and get out of that negativity bias so that you can look and
Yeah.
see the positive versus the negative.
Most of us live in a world that's safe enough now that we don't need that constant negative. Okay.
No, we're pretty much safe in the, like I said, in the present moment. Most of the time in the present moment, you are safe. Nothing bad is happening. Yeah.
And even when we think we're not, it's usually just a mindset, right?
Yeah, we've made it up. Yeah, we are thinking about something that happened in the past, or we're worrying about something that happened in the future. And then another uh, detail to know is that 50 we have about 50 to 90,000 thoughts a day. I know that seems incredible, right?
Oh,
And
it's probably more
research
like
shows that
300,000.
80% of them are negative. 80% of them are negative because of the negativity bias, unless you do something about it, like a mindful type technique that we talked about, where you're in the present, or you have a gratitude, a
Do you know the
journal in
stat on
your
that?
yeah. What was that?
Do you know the stat on that? What percentage of negative thoughts shift after implementing a positivity?
That is a great question. I they say up to 50%, that you can shift it up to 50%.
Wow.
Yeah. And then the other interesting statistic is that 90% of our thoughts are the same. You're not
Nice.
even having new thoughts.
I've heard that one, and I've
Yes.
been starting to notice more and more, and I've been working on more and more of just when I'm busy thinking about stuff, thinking that it's important, just like, eh, the thoughts can take a break right now. Don't need it right now, and not care. Right?
Hmm.
This is the
Yeah.
practice.
So, and if you have a mindful technique that you practice, like meditation, you actually start training your brain. It's like exercising to be in the present, and the more you train it, the more it can, if that makes sense. Just
Yeah.
like when you're working out, right? The more you work out, the stronger you get, or the more flexible you get, and you weren't in the beginning. Same thing with your brain. You can train it, and it gets stronger.
Dr. Joe Dispenza talks a lot about that. When we practice something new, then our brain fires and wires to that new thought or that new program, whatever it is, and it starts to undo the wiring from the old process of programming.
Yeah, it's called neuroplasticity. So people used to think, oh my gosh, you're born a certain way and that's it. You're just stuck with however you think, or even your intelligence. But our brains there's a new science that's out there, not like super new, called neuroplasticity, where you can rewire your brain.
Right.
So good news, people.
And you've worked enough in this field to have some ideas around that, right?
Say that again.
And you've worked enough in this field around some of these experts to know a bit about that.
Yeah,
Um,
absolutely.
so, and that plays. It seems like that plays a key role in us shifting what we're, where we're at with our daily lives and taking it to the next level. Can you talk any more about that?
Yeah, absolutely. And this is something I'm really passionate about because I believe, I don't believe it's happening. Anti-anxiety, antidepressants are on the rise. Where I live in Oregon, the number one cause of death between the age of 10 and 31 is suicide. right?
Wow.
So it's a phenomenon. And I really believe two things are happening. One, we are disconnected from people, right?
Yeah.
And one of the things with positive psychology is that meaningful relationships are very important. And they say 6 meaningful connections every 2 weeks, and different ones. And meaningful does not mean a text. It does not mean an email, right? And we live in a world of texting and emails, and you go to the restaurant and everyone's on their phone, right?
Or get
So
one of those quick hugs and then like see ya.
yeah, heart to heart hug, right? So yeah, absolutely. Like we do need to be aware of it. And especially with our children and with ourselves, right? So really look to make those connections with, I mean, walk outside and say hi to the neighbor, right? Don't text your friend, actually get on the phone and call them, make a date to go to the gym together or go on a walk or go get a coffee, right? And then and then a mindful practice, a gratitude. It's not hard to go get a journal. You can get one at the dollar store and start writing what you're grateful for, right? And then also, sleep is really important. I know the
Sure.
connection between the mind and the body is you cannot disconnect it, and they're starting to learn that, right? And so sleep has a huge effect on your positivity. If you're not getting enough sleep, your body is, I mean, there's all kinds of stuff that happens with that, and most people need 8 hours of sleep. And what's happening now with our sleep is that we're on our technology, and that blue light is messing with your melatonin, so you can't get to sleep. And so my suggestion would be, for those of you who are struggling with like 8 hours a night, is get off technology. That means even your television, your computer, your phone, your television, 1 hour before you're wanting to go to sleep. Like,
At
be asleep,
least.
not in your bed, but be asleep. So if you have a
Yeah.
television in your bedroom, probably you
Yeah.
should take it out.
Yeah, I cringe so much whenever I see someone having that. That's just
Right?
but even screens before bedtime, I've even heard 2 or 3 hours, and then people have the blue blocker glasses, and it's a real thing. Um,
Hmm.
yeah,
Yeah.
I for me it's a base requirement. If I don't have enough sleep, I'm just trudging through the day. That's a rough day. I don't
Well,
care what I'm trying
even,
to do.
I mean, besides positivity, it actually makes you hungrier. So there are chemicals that are released or not released depending on how much sleep you get, and the chemical that makes you hungry gets released if you have a lack of sleep.
Oh
So
wow.
this has not. I mean, of course, we're all more positive if we feel like we're physically healthy, but that's another thing. It causes weight gain.
Yeah. Wow. So
Yes,
the non-hibernating bear turns into a bigger bear
right.
and needs to hibernate even more. It's wow. Okay,
Yep.
that's fascinating. I think it still fascinates me when I learn more about what all affects our internal hormones that throw things off, like our weight,
Hmm.
or our thyroid, or
Hmm.
whatever it is, our adrenal functionality. Um,
Yeah, our
wow.
thoughts actually, there's a whole science about it. It's called psychoneuroimmunology. And you have what's called, and I'm getting sciencey,
Perfect.
neuropeptides.
Yeah.
And what happens is your thoughts, and they run around the neuropeptides between your nerves, and they bring messages. Your thoughts actually shape those neuropeptides. They'll change shape and they'll cause a disease or something in your body. And it's directly from your thoughts, right? And an example would be this. And I want to give this example because it really brings it home. If you've ever read a book or been at a movie and it's not real, right? You're in that theater or you have that book open, it's not real. Yet you're in tears, or you're so afraid, like your heart is beating and your palms are sweaty. It's not real, yet your body is having a chemical reaction, and you can't, and you're not able to stop it. That's the power of thoughts.
So, what do you think that does for people that watch horror movies?
Probably not good. I mean, the cortisol, the adrenaline. I mean, I didn't think about that, Jeremy, but you're right. Like if you're constantly watching those series that are really violent, and
Yeah.
or those horror movies that are really violent, and you're doing it often, yeah, your body is releasing chemicals, cortisol, adrenaline, that are not, they're stress hormones.
The
Yeah.
hippocampus is constantly brewing up new pharmaceuticals within that create these experiences and bring it more into our reality. I learned this from watching What the Bleep back in 2004 when it came out. Fascinating stuff that we have all of this within us. That when we're exposing ourselves to things like violent shows or horror movies, then we're creating that concoction of those hormones within us that helps us to feel those feelings and experience all of that, whether it's real or not in the physical. It's still real in here in the subconscious. It all takes it in, and it affects us.
Yeah, there's an actual chemical reaction. Like
Then
it
we're
is a
creating,
chemical reaction.
and
And
then
the
we
thing
start to
is
draw
your
more of that,
and your body
positive or
does
negative.
this. It will tell you, like you'll start off with a rash, maybe you have migraines, like or maybe you're losing your hair or you have psoriasis. It'll start off, it tells you. And then it just keeps, if you don't listen, it'll keep escalating it and keep escalating it. So when you start having the small things, listen to your body. It's telling you something.
That's funny. Your camera did that at the same time. Like, hey.
Things are not going well. Yeah. Yeah. Right. Absolutely.
Well, to zoom in, when you notice something on your body's telling you something, stop, zoom in, listen. That's your body's messaging system saying, hey, I got a message for you.
Mm-hmm.
Something off. What is it? Oh,
Mm-hmm.
oh, oh, let's just cover it up with a drug, right?
Right. That's what we're doing. Yeah, that's what we're doing, or a cream or something. And of
Right.
course, we know that that's just solving the symptom, not the cause.
Yeah.
And you can get to the cause. And a lot of it has to do with what we're talking about, your mind.
Yeah.
What are you putting in there? How are you trying to create a more positive baseline, or are you ingesting things that are creating a more negative baseline?
Yeah.
Knowing that your happiness chemicals are going to go up and down, up and down.
Right. So can you tell us real quick? We just have a few more minutes. What how this affects our living if we're looking to kind of wake up, take our lives to the next level, be more inspired to make those changes in our lives. How can implementing these positive practices really help us boost that?
I'm so glad you asked. Okay, so here, people, we are all walking through life with these blinders on that we've created, and I won't go into that, but it basically happened before you were 8, and you are going to make decisions, and you're going to have reactions based on that, right? And you literally will not see anything different. And the reason why is because the brain has so much information coming in, it picks and chooses what it's paying attention to, and it will pay attention to what your blinders are. And an example would be if you've ever bought a car, right? You bought a red Honda, and all of a sudden there are red Hondas everywhere. And it wasn't that there's red Hondas everywhere. You're just now able to perceive them because you have one, right? So it's the same thing. So whatever blinders you put on is what you're going to see. So if you have positive blinders on and it's more out, then you're going to see abundance. You're gonna say yes to things. You're gonna see them so that you can say yes to things, and your life is gonna look different. If you have on these negative blinders, you literally will not see the positive. You will not see the positive in your relationships. You will not see the positive for yourself. If like a gift comes along, or an offer comes along, or a way to change your life, you won't even see it. You won't even see it, and it's all based on what you're perceiving.
And with law of attraction, then you're attracting something different as well.
Yes, you are. You're attracting. And if you want to know, like I tell people, if you want to know what you believe, take a look at your relationships, take a look at your finances, take a look at your health, take a look at your career, and take a look at, do you feel that you're fulfilling your purpose here? And I'll just say, I believe everyone's purpose is to love. I do believe that. Like no matter where you're at, that is your purpose, is to give love. But take a look, and it will be really clear to you what your blinders are, and are they negative or are they positive? And the good thing is you can change it. You can change it, and it's not hard. It's just you have to be willing to be consistent.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, that consistency makes all the difference, because otherwise we get pulled right back into our old ways, our old habits. Yeah.
Yep.
So daily routine makes a difference.
And if you don't have one, I'd start with gratitude.
Mhm.
Start with a gratitude journal. Go down to that dollar store, get scraps of paper, doesn't matter, and write. Starting on with all you can think of is three things.
Yeah.
Write three things, and do it every single day. That would be the first thing I think everyone can start with, and it's easy.
Yeah, for sure. So is that part of something you do? Do you work with people on building a daily routine?
A morning routine. Yeah, absolutely. I work with people on building a morning routine. There's so many things. I work with them overcoming negative responses. I work with them on strength-based relationships to where they're looking for the strengths in not only their children, their spouse, their friends, their coworkers, their boss. Um, I work with them in being able to feel their feelings. What do they do with it? Not reacting, so that they get to choose a reaction versus it just coming out.
Emotional
And
intelligence.
then, yeah, so
Mhm.
the whole gamut of positive thinking. I take people from A over here to B, and B is happy land.
Woo!
Yeah, B is like, and I want to say that there are, you get to choose how you look at the world. You do get to choose. And I know that people are saying like, yeah, but you just don't understand, like, I'm going through this divorce and my parents died and my child has cancer, and like, terrible, terrible, terrible. And I invite you to read a book by Viktor Frankl.
Uh,
And he was
Answers to Many.
he was a Holocaust survivor. He went through the Holocaust and kept and chose his attitude through the whole thing, and everyone he knew died, and he was tortured. And he talks about that, like choosing your attitude.
That was a powerful lesson. I have remembered that many times to process through in a better way what I'm going through in whatever moment.
Yeah.
That hmm, I'm actually choosing how I feel in this moment. Okay.
Yes. I remember when I was like first on this path and I would hear that, I'd get so angry with that. Like what?
Right.
I have a right to be whatever it is, angry, sad, mad. And then now I get it. I get it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's a great way to rationalize a victim mentality.
Mm-hmm. Which doesn't get you anywhere. It doesn't.
Right.
I mean, you feel a little self-serving and like, yeah, but it's not going to get you where you want to be in life. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. I'd much rather be empowered to shift
The,
through that and be much more positive.
mm-hmm.
So,
Yep.
okay. Well, I think we better wrap this up. Any final thoughts around this, Rebecca, that we could offer
Yeah.
the audience around inspired change and waking up?
I would say one thing. Everybody has the ability to wake up and to be positive change in the world. And everyone's purpose, if you're out there wondering, what am I supposed to be doing? Is to love. I don't care where you're at, what your job is to love. Like, can you wake up and can you make every interaction a 10 and positive?
Yeah, love it. Yes. Thank you very much. I want to thank the audience for listening and Rebecca for being on the show. Thank you so much for for spreading the love. I hope we can all step more in that direction this year, and I know that's a big part of my mission as well, and why I'm doing this show. So, um, just thanks one
Thanks
more
for having
time.
me, Jeremy.
Yeah. All right. Take care. Much love.